Un movimento necessario verso la formazione di un polo privato nella televisione commerciale che si possa contrapporre efficacemente al polo pubblico.
It was a television revolution. Mr. Berlusconi, as rich as Croesus now, provided the adverts for his own TV channels, and he had a sharp nose for what the consumer wanted, and Rai's audiences began to plunge.
Public television in Italy has always been lottizzato, it's always been divided between the political parties. It's never built up an independent tradition. And that's meant that when his commercial channel, Berlusconi's commercial television, came along, public television merely aped, competed on the same ground, and succumbed in its values and everything to the Berlusconian model.
With commercial TV in his pocket, the tycoon turned to football. Here we have AC Milan in a big match. Berlusconi took them over in 1986, his local team, turning this ailing club into a team of cup winners, investing in new players and a new manager. And when they won again and again, he became a household name. The crowd loved him, he loved their adoration.
Da quello che ha dimostrato con il Milan Club e con tutto, è veramente una persona eccezionale. Dal mio punto di vista questo qua, qualcun altro sarà antipatico per un fattore politico, per me è validissimo.
Berlusconi è stato il Milan, Berlusconi è tutto, una grande voglia di vincere che ha trasmesso a tutti all'interno della squadra e di tutto il mondo dei tifosi.
Club president gets into the act. Silvio Berlusconi, as 12 months ago in Barcelona, is lifted up by a team that he's got together with his millions.
We don't have a royal family, we don't have a star system like the United States, so our business class is something that people look at intensively. And Berlusconi, as a self-made man, was seen as a success history for many Italians.
Years ago, in 1990, the self-made tycoon invited the BBC to peek at his broadcasting empire, and he summed up the Italian view of him rather nicely.
Forse la personificazione di quello che si può chiamare il sogno italiano.
I'm probably the perfect personification of the Italian dream, of the person who, having started on his own, has managed to reach a certain level. This may naturally elicit a certain amount of jealousy in my regards, which is of course only human and understandable.
Our self-made man had climbed to the top of Italy's media pyramid. Hallelujah indeed. But because of Rai's official monopoly of national networking, Berlusconi's TV channels were still only just within the law. He needed friends, one above all Bettino Craxi, Italy's socialist prime minister in the mid-80s. Craxi personally snuffed out attempts to regulate Berlusconi's TV empire.
Berlusconi aveva un rapporto molto stretto con Craxi e le leggi di Craxi hanno favorito l'avvento delle sue televisioni e ha conquistato un successo enorme e è un fenomeno che verrà studiato negli anni.
And how, in 1992, the law, la legge, took on a different meaning in Italy. A small group of magistrates and prosecutors in Milan, appalled at the corruption of the 1980s, launched their so-called clean hands investigations. They uncovered a pattern of fraud in business and politics. Italy's post-war political system was collapsing, creating a vacuum of power in the land. It was the end of an era. Dr. Francesco Saverio Borelli headed those investigations. Despite the savaging he and his colleagues of clean hands have received from Mr. Berlusconi and his political allies, he has no doubts about the justice of what he did.
Vedi, per il Paese l'operazione Mani Pulite ha avuto anzitutto un'importanza di carattere morale. perché di fronte alla consapevolezza diffusa nel Paese che a vari livelli della pubblica amministrazione esistesse un malcostume, un fenomeno di corruzione, vi era anche la convinzione altrettanto diffusa che la politica per definizione fosse una cosa sporca e che quindi non fosse possibile impegnarsi in una battaglia per ricondurre entro un ambito di legalità la vita politica e la vita amministrativa.
The magistrates disagreed. Their investigations continued. Italy's old political order started to fall apart, and politicians' heads began to roll. Governments in Italy since World War II had been dominated by the Christian Democrats, often in coalitions during the 1980s and then not always as top dog. Their perceived role, this was the Cold War, was to keep Italy's strong Communist Party at bay.
We don't have any more the Christian Democrats who ruled for 50 years. We don't have any more the Social Democrats. We don't have any more the Socialist Party. We don't have any more the Republicans, the Liberal Party. We don't have. So, and the Communist Party was rebaptized, renamed after the fall of the Berlin Wall. So we had really a revolution, a judicial revolution.
A wave of bombings swept the country, seen then as the work of the Sicilian mafia. Among the targets were ancient Italian treasures, a basilica dating back to the Roman era, and Florence's celebrated Uffizi Gallery was badly hit. This was striking at Italy's heart, and the result was confusion and some fear. The scene was ripe for Berlusconi.
There was a huge crisis of the ruling moderate political parties, those like the Christian Democracy, which had been ruling Italy since the end of the Second World War. A crisis which was made worse by the judicial investigation on political briberies. And there was a huge popular discontent about the old political class.
The biggest head to roll was that of Bettino Craxi, former Prime Minister, Berlusconi's friend and protector. Craxi, seen here leaving court in Milan, was disgraced and later died abroad in self-imposed exile. Craxi's fall helped to determine Berlusconi to jump into politics. And jump he did. He decided to form his own political movement.
My friend Giuliano Urbani went to see him and said, listen, if you don't do anything, the left will win overwhelmingly with the new system, and the country will be in their hands for a very, very long period of time, and in a country that is dominated by a socialist government, you will not be able to operate as a free entrepreneur. And he was convinced by this presentation and decided to do something about it.
His friends said, don't do that, because you don't know what is going to happen. I mean, you have to give up your perspective of life and enter in a very, very, very filthy world, planet. The planet of politics, especially in Italy, is bad everywhere, but in Italy particularly.
Giuliano Ferrara was to become a close friend and advisor to Berlusconi in the intervening years. He's the editor of Il Foglio, a pro-Berlusconi newspaper.
Berlusconi is a byproduct of clean hands, as everybody knows. I mean, clean hands had restructured completely, and the fall of the Berlin Wall had restructured completely the political panorama, the institutional panorama, the whole affair, the whole matter.
In early 1994, Berlusconi summoned a posse of trusted friends to his villa outside Milan. The meeting led to the birth of Berlusconi the politician and of a new political movement, a movement designed to provide Italians with a beacon of hope. For Berlusconi and his country, it was a moment of truth.
I went to Arcore, Berlusconi's villa. He was very excited. He said, I want to put on a party. I want to do that. The name is Forza Italia. I said, what a horrible name, it's just soccer. But he was right.
It's a classic football cry. And it had a kind of national, given that the word Italy was in there, a kind of national appeal aimed at really rallying all Italy behind a political project based, centered on a personality.
And Berlusconi kept saying, well, I will fill this void, and did it as he could and as he liked, as a marketing enterprise. Obviously, the product is candidates. The product is Berlusconi himself.
The Italian nation rallied to this master of marketing, who overnight introduced a new brand of politics, exploiting the medium he knew so well, television. It was to play a key role in his 1994 election campaign. Forza Italia indeed. Berlusconi had no roots in the old, tired political class. He was a new brew.